Hello loves, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be going over my April wrap up. Guys, we read a lot of good books last month and I'm very proud of the progress that I made. I have now read 21 books in the year of 2026 so far, and my goal originally was 100, but I've actually been a lot more busier than expected, so I just moved it back down to 50 like it was last year, and I'm actually closer than I thought I would be to finishing it. Like, I'm nearly halfway finished with this reading goal, so I'm actually just very proud of myself. But in the month of April, I read a total of 5 books, and 4 out of those 5 books you guys can actually go check out my trying to read for 24 hours video, which I ended up accomplishing. Let's hear it up for me, give it up for me guys, because I know that was a genuine struggle for the longest time. So with that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into the wrap up. I only have 4 out of the 5 because no, I only have 4 out of the 5 books that I read because one of the books that I read on ebook and I did not really enjoy it. I have the first book, so we're gonna use the first book as a placeholder for this one because it is the second book in a series. Now, if you guys read the 24-hour reading vlog, you guys already know which book this is. But the first book that I read in the month of April was Fighting Chance by Mad Rafferty. This is Breaking Point by Mad Rafferty, but you guys already know. Fighting Chance by Mad Rafferty, I gave that book 3 stars. I felt as though this book was better. This book was 5 stars, and then Fighting Chance was like barely a 3 stars. Like, I had to push my way through the book. We were running around in circles. It was repetitive. I just wasn't enjoying my time. And then, not to mention that the reason I loved Breaking Point so much was because there was only one smut scene. Like, I'm not big on spice in books or spice in really anything, and so the reason I love Breaking Point so much was because there was such a lack of that, and it would focus more on like the plot and the character development. And while Fighting Chance did do this, it also had a lot of smut or kind of like alluding to spice in the books, and I was just over it. I was just like, guys, actually, and I feel like I hate when authors do that. Like Sarah Adams, for example, went the When in Rome series, started out so clean and so like innocent, and then it's like out of nowhere we had this jump where like the 3rd book and the 4th book are much more like alluding to spice and have more spice. And I was just like, the whole reason that some of these books became so popular was because a lot of us girlies are looking for like spice-free romances, and we thought we found those, and then boom, like the next few books are just like full of spice, and it's just kind of annoying. But I'm not gonna hold it against her. I was just like, you know, it kind of took me out of the experience. I didn't enjoy it as much as I had hoped to, but with that set aside, it was 3 stars. I felt like it was also very medium to slow pacing, and I was just hoping that it would speed up the entire book, and it indeed did not. The second book I read was Just Friends by Haley Pham. I gave this book a 4 star. Now, not a 5 star because I do see where people coming from on TikTok where they're like, okay, well, this book is using like grammar that doesn't even like make sense, or like it does make sense, but it's kind of like it makes it look unprofessional because she's trying to like add stuff in there to make it seem professional, and that is already making her like seem like, okay, you don't know what you're doing. So I understand that, and it did take me out of the story a bit, but the story itself was actually good. I've been searching for books that give me like 2024 vibes, because 2024 I feel like was the best year of reading collectively for everybody, and I was trying to find a book that felt like that, and Just Friends did. I got the romance, like the chemistry was there, I had a fun time. Second chance romances I usually don't like, but I did enjoy this one, and I feel like people did like back off for a second because this is her first novel after all. I try to be like very not that like heavy on the first books that authors publish, because my first book that I published, The Ruined Rose right here, which is a clean YA fantasy novel, which is available on Amazon, you guys can also check out my Instagrams down below, is not my best work. It's never going to be my best work. It's my first published book. I'm learning how to do things, I'm learning how to edit, I'm learning how to write better as a person, so I try just to be very lenient on first-time authors and their first books, because come on, like, girly pops, I want you to sit down and write a novel, 200, 400 pages. Try and write a novel and then get back to me and tell me how easy it was to do that, because it's not as easy as you think, which is why it takes authors so long to write books. So I try to be very lenient on authors. The book itself, the plot, the storyline, the characters, it was very fun. I enjoyed it. I had a great time. Do I think that it could have been written better? Every book can. Do I think it like some stuff in editing was skipped. I also think that, and I feel like it could have waited a bit longer. Like, it could have been longer in the editing process, but it wasn't bad by any means, and I did enjoy myself. I had a very good time, and I was having so much fun, which is why I gave it 4 stars. The third book is Close to You by Nisa Renzo. I actually have a video that's going to be coming out talking about this book, and also congratulations to Nisa Renzo because this book is getting traditionally published. I have my indie copy because I'm an OG. I've been there since she's had like 2000. I'm an OG. I've been waiting for this book for the longest, and I'm just super excited. And also she has another book out. Like, I think it's a thriller or something, but I'm gonna check it out. She has another book that she like never talks about, but yeah. Close to You was very fun. It was also very emotional, so like if you're like, okay, I can't do anything like emotional right now, this is definitely not the book for you because it has a lot of like violence, it's emotional, there's stuff that has to do with these kids' past, and it's just like, okay, dang, wow, just bulldoze me over. But it's also very sweet, and it's also very heartwarming. It follows a mute FMC, and I feel like that's very diverse representation because we rarely do see a main character, maybe a side character, but usually never a main character that is mute because a lot of authors don't know how to portray that. But in this book, we see it portrayed very well, and I love the way that Nisa Renzo did this. This book was a 4-star. I think I failed to mention that, but this book was a 4-star. Like the others, I feel like there was filler parts near the middle where it was just like, okay, we really could have done a lot without these parts. And I feel like also for some parts where we kept running into the bullies and it was just like the same cycle over and over again, it was just like, okay, kind of repetitive, but it wasn't bad. And I didn't hate the repetitive parts because it kind of built up to the end, but I do feel like it could have been better. Fourth book that I read in the month of April was In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. And then this was, I have my like book journal over here that has my ratings. This was a 4-star. This book I did enjoy. I feel like this once again had a lot of spice alluding to it, and that was just genuinely for me like not my cup of tea. Spice is never going to be my cup of tea. I don't think it never has been, it never will be. But I was just like, okay, it wasn't too much to the point where I was like skipping every other chapter. It was just like, okay, well, I'm skipping a few chapters, but not all chapters, you know, or not most or half of the book, because half of the book is filled with smut. So I'm just very thankful for that. I feel like once again, with another book that has mental health representation and the feeling of anxiety and also the portrayal, I believe, of panic attacks, I think was also portrayed in this book. I love the way that this was written. Sarah Adams, I love small town romances, and she just knows how to do it. And it feels like so sad because I'm letting these characters go because this is the last book in this 4-book series of When in Rome, and it's just like, I'm letting my babies go. Like, I'm never gonna be able to experience this for the first time again, which is crazy. And the last book is Hot British Boyfriend by Christy Boyce. I was trying to read this before Roles and Rivalry came out because like that's in like her trilogy of like, it's like oh my gosh, you guys know Dungeons and Dragons. It's in that trilogy because she has books like that focus around Dungeons and Dragons, but they're YA romances. So I want to read this because somebody said if I like those and I could read this one. But I gave this book a 3-star, I think. Yeah, 3-star. And I don't even think it deserved that. It probably could have deserved a 2-star. It was so underwhelming. And also our FMC, which I already forgot her name, Ellie, got on my nerves. I mean, her and her mom were like these TV fanatics who love to watch like these romance shows and like these movies and all this, and she loved Jane Austen and she knew what true romance was like, but she couldn't see what true romance was like in front of her face. And that kind of got on my nerves because I was just like, girl, you have the knowledge, you know how you should be treated and what, like, if this guy should be accepting, and she just was not seeing it for herself. Well, she was kind of trying to convince herself one thing when it was truly the other. And also she was also just naive, and I hate when people ditch their friends for their significant other. Like, just because you have this guy does not mean you need to drop everything you're doing the second he calls your phone up and like, okay, well, I know you're hanging out with your friends right now, you're supposed to have this entire fun day that you guys planned out for weeks, but I need you to like drop everything you're doing so you can have a nice romantic day with me. No, and then all her friends were having fun without her, and she was like, oh, well, I should have gone. And I didn't even pity her because I was just like, girl, you caused this. You decided, not them. You decided, okay, I'm gonna go with the guy that doesn't even know me, doesn't even see me. If anything, she was just using him for likes and views. Let's be honest. it was not, as you guys can see, I was very annoyed by this read, but it was not the best. And if you're reading any of Christy Boyce's books, I've only read this one and then like the Dungeons and Dragon revolving books. Please read those and skip over this one. That's all I gotta say. With that being said, we have all 5 books in the month of April. This once again is taking place for Fighting Chance because I don't own a physical copy and I never will buy a physical copy for it unless I like the 3rd book, because why would I have the 1st and not the 3rd and not the 2nd? But if I don't like the 3rd book and I read it on ebook, then I'm just not gonna get them. But I don't plan on buying the 2nd book just because to have like a trophy, because I feel like it's kind of stupid to spend money on a book that I know I did not really enjoy all that much. So right now, Breaking Point is just going to hold the place. But that is all for today's wrap up. Thank you guys so much for watching. And like I mentioned before, I do have an Instagram because I'm an author myself. I wrote the book right there, Maddie. Whoa, I wrote the book right there, The Ruined Royals. It is a clean YA fantasy mystery novel. And it really focuses on the importance of like friendship and like platonic relationships in books, because I feel like we never really see that. Because in books, we usually focus on like the more romantic side of like relationships. But I want to show true friendships and how friends can be there to encourage you and uplift you in harder and dark times. But also it has a lot of like fantasy magic. It's really fun. Definitely check it out, and I just can't wait to see what you guys think about it. I love it when you guys tag me in your posts, leave reviews, all that stuff. I love to see it. I love to repost. I love to comment on it. So just I thought I would just like, you know, leave that sprinkle there, right? But I'll see you guys next video. I'm Maddie out. Kisses, mwah, Maddie out, and goodbye.